Hey everyone, this is Lord Veman again, and welcome back to another part of the Craft Bukkit tutorial server guide thingy. Yay! Yeah, right. Let's jump straight into the topic of the day, which will be permissions. I'm going to showcase one particular plugin that I myself use to manage permissions, and it will pretty much be the entire backbone of your server. So if something goes wrong with that particular plugin, yeah, you better be ready for it. So the permission plugin that I'm going to be demonstrating for you guys today will be PermissionsEX, also known as Hex. I will show you now their Bukkit development page. So just look up PermissionsEX Hex, and you will eventually get here. It's a very useful plugin, and you will pretty much link every other plugin that you utilize on your server to this particular one to handle your permissions, because it's kind of probably not your intention to let everyone have all the permissions, or and if you don't want to use permissions, and just try to organize everything with people who are OP and not OP, well, that doesn't really work that well, and it's fairly unmanageable in a whole. Besides, giving people OP is usually not a good idea, just saying. So yeah, this is their home page. We'll be downloading this one particular package here. Since last video, Bukkit has updated to a more recent version, and I'm probably going to do a video soon as well about how to update efficiently and make sure to keep track of all the updates and all that sort of good stuff. But for now, I'm just going to assume that you can do it. It's pretty much the same as video 1, setting it up. Only now you don't have to put in everything new. You probably already have pretty much the entire system set up already. You just have to change the Bukkit jar file and change the little run patch file. In any case, that's for a completely different video. This is about pegs. Oh my god, what am I talking about? So yeah, let's go ahead and download the package. Is this the right? It is the right one. Wow, how did you know? Sweet. So it's even the right folder, although yeah. Let's call this. Let's make a different oh no, plugin download. Let's make a different folder outside of your Bukkit folder, and that will be our crap folder. That may sound sort of weird, but what I mean with that is we don't want all this additional clutter, just random zip files in our Bukkit folder. We want to keep that nice, clean, and easily manageable. So yeah, let's not add unnecessary clutter all over the place. Maybe let's close that. Yeah. So let's open it up with as an anti-zipper. Personally, I use 7-zip. But you should be able to open zip files natively if you use Windows, so that shouldn't be an issue at all. If not, I suggest using 7-zip, as it is free, or you can also use WinZip or WinRAR. No, WinZip is standard in Windows, I think, but you can't really do much other than zip files. WinRAR is slightly more powerful, but I think it's paid, so 7-zip for the win. Anyway, inside our PermissionsEX package, we find 3 plugins. Oh my god, what a surprise! This is the entire PEX package pretty much. You have PEX itself, modify world. What that does is it allows you to allow and deny people building and picking up items or interacting with items, or pretty much everything that has to do with items, inventory and interaction, which is really useful if you want to have a world where you want to restrict a particular amount of items or things or actions, and you can easily set it up with permissions that way. If you want to do it even more strict and not on an entire world scale, you're probably going to need world guard to do something similar. But if it's on world based, or if it's on a world scale, then you might as well use modify world. And then eventually chat manager, which manages chat. No shit, Sherlock. Okay, so let's grab all of that out there, cut it out. There we go, back into the bucket. Plugins. Oh my god, it's the first plugins. Okay, and just slam them into your plugins folder within your bucket folder. And that's pretty much it for getting the plugins. Now we'll install them, configure them, and then I'll show you how to utilize the tree pretty much on what PEX is like based upon. So run it, boom, okay. It has enabled the plugin, so we can stop again. Great. Now when you go into your plugins folder, you'll see that you have all of a sudden 3 new folders. And you know, they so happen to be named after the plugins we just installed, so yeah, it's normal. What these folders are their respective plugins data directories, pretty much. When a plugin is going to have to interact with files, and usually those files are going to be configuration files, then it has to have an easy way to find the correct one, because if you have like 40 plugins, then yeah, if you just have a folder with 40 configs, it's not really going to work well. So they Bukkit itself has an easy way of allowing them to make a folder in the plugins folder where they can store all their own stuff, and they can be easily directed to that particular folder. So folder, plugin, it is all linked together. Inside you'll obviously find what I just said, configuration files, and obviously also permissions file for PEX itself. Now I don't really know which config I want to discuss first. Kind of feel like it's most important to just finish permissions, and then I'll talk a little bit about these other two. So I think that's about what I'm going to be doing. Alright, let's first configure it before we jump straight into the permissions. These files are YAML files. YAML is a some sort of markup language, pretty much, formatting language. Well, yeah, that's about it. And it is really important, well, when dealing with YAML, that it's really important that all your like spaces on your data structure is absolutely correct 100%, and not a single mistake has been made, or it will not work. It will not parse successfully and will throw errors, and your plugin will not work. So really be careful when editing these files, and I'm going to show you in a bit a neat trick to make sure that whenever you edit it, that it's probably going to work, or at least not fail parsing, pretty much. So screw the App Store. Fuck you. I'm going to buy apps to open a file. Now, let's make sure that it opens with Notepad. Oh, fuck, I didn't set it as a default. No. Don't set that as a default, you idiot. Always use Notepad. Oh my god, I don't hope it... Is it going to open off a calc? Well, that's not going to work very well. Anyway, it opened Notepad. Notepad++, that is. Why not ++? Well, because you're going to see it's going to make things so much easier to manage. YML, yeah. YML it's not a markup language. Sorry guys to disappoint you. It ain't a markup language. That is the full you know, the full phrase from the abbreviation YML. It contains YML. Isn't that a massive mindfuck? Alright, so this is the configuration for PEX, and as you can see, it's nothing. This is literally pretty much nothing. What it says here are what am I going to look for? You're going to look for a file. What else could it be looking for, you might wonder? It could be looking for a database. You can also set it to link with an SQL database. This is useful if you have a lot, but really a lot of permissions. And your server is like of a sizable size. Don't use SQL if you're small scale, because it is slightly more annoying, especially if you're not used to it, and it might take a while to get just used to the general idea of SQL databasing, and it can definitely be quite counterproductive in the beginning. I've had experience with that, trust me. So for this tutorial I'm just going to stick with flat file pretty much, and I will redirect you to the wiki of PEX itself if you want to integrate it with SQL. I might do eventually a video on SQL, but like, no, that's for way in the future. Let's do some essential stuff first. Right, the super permissions. What are those? I have no idea. I don't think they're really that important. I think it's pretty much just for enabling debugging or other stuff. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I think that turns on or off specific features for the person with the asterisk command, the asterisk permission. I think people who are OP, not entirely sure though. But for starters, it doesn't really matter much. You can always look it up in the wiki, which I'm also going to show you now. So for now, this config is pretty much set. I mean, it's looking in the permissions.yml for its permissions, looking for file, where, there, done. Nothing needs to be done here of any sort. That is like, yeah. So let's show you the wiki, which is actually a really good one, and you'll probably have probably find it very useful to come here once in a while if you're kind of at a loss at what to do with a specific situation. So this is the contents page. Wait, I got a surprise for you. Oh my god, I've got it all open here. Okay, never mind that. Let's look at everything. So when you first enter the wiki, you'll come to the contents page, which has links to every particular page that you'll find interesting. These are useful for basic users. All of this. You might want to use any of this. If you don't read it, then you probably don't know that it exists, and you'll probably eventually want to make use of it. So yeah, I kind of it will be useful if you just read through it. You don't have to do it like very extensively, but just to make sure that you sort of know what the plugin can do. Features is useful, as it will just show you exactly pretty much what the plugin can do. Then basics will get you set up fast. Installation is sort of what I'm explaining now, so don't really have to bother with that anymore. Migration is useful if you're going to migrate your flat file permissions to SQL. So also for a beginner, maybe not that useful. Plugin configuration we sort of already did. This one contains slightly more, yeah, the configuration file. As you can see here, they have some added stuff. If you want, you can add this to configure it slightly more specifically. Like if you want to change your directory for some reason, I do not really know why you would want to do that, but you can. If you want to put it into debug mode, that can be useful to find errors in your permission declaring and all that stuff. It's also like nicely described and everything, so you'll easily find what you're looking for. If you want to connect with an SQL, it's also explained here on how to put that into your configuration in your configuration file. So instead of file, you go to SQL and then you enter the location of the database, the username and the password, so that it can access it. So that's about it for plugin configuration. We already sort of covered that. Basic permission setup and advanced permission setup. That's kind of straightforward. Basic stuff, slightly more advanced stuff. Ranks, also slightly advanced. Ranks is useful if you want to have a whole bunch of groups that can dynamically change. So say I'm going to compare it now with YouCraft. On YouCraft we have a chain of groups, pretty much, chain of ranks, and if you rank higher, if you promote, you keep everything from the lower ranks and the rank you currently had, and you advance to the next rank, and everything that rank contains will be added to you to do. So additional permissions like map disguising and whatnot will be added to your person, pretty much. So that's where the promotion and demotion comes into place. Then commands that you can do in game to change it. I personally prefer to do it manually in files, and in our case now the SQL, and then just reload it instead of doing it with commands in game. But if you really want to make just like a minor change, a quick in-game command might make it easier for you. And then some more information about Chat Manager and Modified World, if you want to know more about that. The last two, native API example, is only useful to programmers if you want to use the API provided by PEX. If you don't know what API is, then this has no meaning to you whatsoever, and just ignore. Troubleshooting and frequently asked questions. If you have a particular problem, then it's a good idea to check here first, see if you can find it in the troubleshooting section. Maybe there's a quick solution already just put out there for you. If it's a mundane problem, if it's something slightly more specific, then you might want to make a ticket or ask it on the development page itself. Or ask me in the comment section. It's always something that you can do. Great. So, now that I'm moving my microphone. Okay. Let's get on with it. Right, permissions itself. Now we come to the juicy part. Because if you open your permissions for the first time, you will find this. Yeah, not particularly useful, is it? So, going to show you on the PEX basics file, or like section on the wiki, contains fairly useful stuff. Pretty much what you'll find most useful is permissions hierarchy. This has pretty much every possible situation that you could have in your permissions file all at once, which is useful. So if you want to see how the tree is set up, you can always come and take a look here. Now, what does this all mean and how can we use it ourselves here? That's something that we're going to explain now. Given that no one has joined the server since PEX has been active, there is no user or users listed here. The moment I will join in a bit, when we've got this all set up, I will be like listed in this file as well, with my group next to my name, and maybe some added permissions, because you can always choose to add permissions to a group or to a specific person if you so desire. So the default group, that is the group that a player will get. Well, yeah, if it has default true, then it will get the default. Then it will get this group the moment that that player joins for the first time, pretty much. Do we want it named default? I don't know. It's kind of derpy. let's call it first, like you love to do in comment sections, don't you? So we have a group first. Is it default? Yeah, it is. The moment that the person joined, he will be first. Alright, permissions is next. For now, he only has modified world added, and not just modified world, but modified world dot asterisk. What does this mean? The asterisk pretty much stands for every possible iteration that can come after modified world. So this can be modified world dot interact dot bucket or something, or dot chest, or like pretty much everything that can come after modified world. Can we go to modified world? See, like you can have modified world dot login dot chat to use the chat, to sneak. You can have modified world sneak to be allowed to sprint, all that sort of stuff. Has its own permission within modified world, and that's a lot of permissions, isn't it? So to make it manageable, you can add all of them at once, and then maybe decide to remove a particular one. How to remove a permission? Because you might wonder, why do you want to remove a permission? Just don't give it in the first place. Well, here we have right off the bat, we have a perfect example why I would need to remove a permission. Pretty much, if you have a lot of permissions in one specific tree, like modified world, it's best possible example that I can give, but still you don't want people who first join to, say, use a bucket, maybe, or empty it, or destroy blocks, or whatever. Then you can just disallow them to do so. How do you disallow it? You place a minus mark, then modify world. Oh, awkward typing again with the microphone right in front of me. Modified. Yes, because yes. Oh yeah, what happens if you type a permission incorrectly? Well, it won't work. Pretty much. It will not be added and it will not be removed. So minus modify world dot bucket dot anything. Screw it. We don't want you to do anything with buckets. Okay, so now person who first joins will be able to use chat, will be able to build, will be able to sprint, sneak, use beds, but he won't be able to do anything with buckets at all. Sweet, we have that covered. All right, back to the tree, and we'll continue onwards. Oh yeah, quick note for Notepad++ users, or just in general Notepad users. Well, I think that can only be done actually in Notepad++, not sure. Achilles also mentioned that in a comment in the earlier video. Make sure to put in preferences your tab key, make sure it puts not a tab symbol, but instead 4 spaces. Because that is that is how YML works. It works with spaces, not with tabs. But it so happens that the amount of spaces it likes is a tab size, 4 spaces. But you still have to place the spaces. And we can change it where settings. Oh, of course, settings. And then go under preferences. And where can we find it? Miscellaneous? No. Yeah, language menu. Tab settings. Of course, under tab settings. Who would have figured? So under tab settings, make sure that this is selected, replaced by space, and here you can set how many spaces should be placed. For YML you need 4 for every tab. So after that we had permissions, let's just continue down the list. Okay. For a new, you can also just look at the previous at the example that you already have if you are confused about the amount of spaces. To make a new one of these thingies, you need 2 spaces. So let's add the admin group. And we'll just continue onwards with copying the example and explaining whilst doing so. So first off, they say something about inheritance. What do they mean with that? Well, that means this particular group will inherit everything that the previous group, or pretty much the group that you specify under inheritance, had. So if we say inherit from first, then the admin group will be able to modify the world with pretty much everything except for placing buckets. Okay, admins can't place buckets apparently, not in this state at least. So let's change it, because we want our admins to be able to place buckets. I mean, come on guys, allow me some buckets, please. Box. So let's give that permission back to the admin, and now he will be able to place or fill an empty bucket instead of his predecessor, the first joiner. Options. What's this? Extra data rank designator. Why would you want to use that? What's that used for? Hello. I don't think that's useful actually. Wait, is it for? Is it for ranking? Oh, I think it is. Yeah. Let's skip that for now and talk about promotion later more thoroughly. Yeah, you can also give specific world permissions. Say that you are in a particular world. So you have a multiverse setup, and you have a whole bunch of worlds all set up, a survival world, another, and then a whatever world. Then you can set permissions to be allowed or disallowed in particular worlds. So in this case, they prevented, or they allowed the admin to fly in the nether world and have a particular prefix in front of his name. Oh yeah, prefixes, that's right.